All right, today we are diving deep into a really complex investigation put together by an author named Jonathan. He's actually coined a term for it, SignalGate, and he uses it to lay out a theory that connects what seems like a small security breach to a huge, sprawling network of power. So let's walk through his investigation step by step to understand the claims he's making.
So first things first, what is SignalGate? Well, according to Jonathan's documents, this whole entire investigation kicks off with one single event, an event that he argues has massive implications, reaching all the way to the highest levels of U.S. power.
Here's the core definition, as Jonathan lays it out. SignalGate is all about an encrypted group chat on the app Signal. Now, this wasn't just any chat. It was for top U.S. national security officials. The incident, as he tells it, is that a well-known journalist was suddenly added to this super confidential conversation. You can imagine that would raise some eyebrows.
Okay, so to really get what Jonathan's theory is all about, we have to start right where his investigation began, with the people who are actually inside that chat. He kicks things off by identifying who's who.
So Jonathan's documents give us a list of the members in the Signal group, which was apparently named the Houthi PC Small Group. You've got some heavy hitters, the vice president, the national security advisor, and his deputy. And then, of course, there's Jeffrey Goldberg, the journalist who was supposedly added by mistake. But it's that last name on the list that Jonathan flags as the first real mystery he had to solve.
Yeah, the entry was just Jacob, identity unknown. For Jonathan, figuring out who this Jacob was became the absolute critical first step. I mean, who is this mysterious final member in a top-level national security chat? That's the question that really gets the ball rolling.
And after some digging and connecting the dots, Jonathan's documents claim to have an answer. He identifies Jacob as a man named Jacob Hellberg. As Jonathan lays it out, this isn't just a small detail. This identification is the pivotal link that starts to connect this one chat to a much broader network.
So why is Hellberg so important to this theory? Well, Jonathan then details Hellberg's background to build his case. He points out his role as a commissioner on the U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission, his job as a senior advisor at Palantir, and his personal connections through his marriage into the influential venture capital world of the PayPal Mafia and Founders Fund.
But here's the thing. For Jonathan, these initial connections are really just the tip of the iceberg. His research argues that the Signal chat itself isn't the whole story. No, it's just the entry point, the rabbit hole, if you will, into a far deeper and more established network of influence.
So, the investigation takes a big turn here. It pivots away from the people in the chat and starts looking at two other figures Jonathan identifies as mentors to Vice President J.D. Vance, and they are two huge names, Peter Thiel from Palantir and Steve Case, the founder of AOL. Jonathan positions these two as the central hubs connecting the SignalGate incident to a much deeper historical network.
Okay, so Jonathan's documents then lay out this very specific timeline, which he frames as extremely suspicious. He highlights that back in March 2001, at the exact same time that Eric Schmidt was being named CEO of Google, Steve Case's brother, Dan, who is a major tech investment banker, was diagnosed with a rare and aggressive brain cancer. Dan Case passed away just over a year later. It's this sequence of events that the author flags as critically important. And this brings us to the next layer of Jonathan's theory. He claims that a famous venture capital firm, Kleiner Perkins, is the common link here. He alleges that this one firm was the original founder or key financer for many of America's most powerful tech companies. We're talking AOL, Google, Amazon, Apple, the list goes on. The documents then really zero in on two specific companies that are linked to Steve Case's firm, Revolution, which is where J.D. Vance also used to work. Jonathan describes the first, the platform Clear, as a VaxPass system for travel. He then labels the second company, Tempest AI, as a tool for what he calls genocidal ethnic bioweapons R&D. Now, these are obviously incredibly serious and alarming claims, and they are absolutely central to his final thesis.
So where does Jonathan claim all of this is actually heading? I mean, what's the point of all this? Well, his investigation builds to what he describes as a single, overarching grand strategy that connects all of these players, companies, and events. This is the end game. This direct quote from Jonathan's documents basically sums up his entire conclusion. He alleges that the COVID pandemic was, in his words, a bioweapon that was used as a pretext to seize control of the entire U.S. pharmaceutical industry and its R&D, and then outsource it all to Israel with supply chains running through China.
So, this slide diagrams the four-step strategy that Jonathan alleges is the ultimate goal. Step 1, use major crises like 9/11 and COVID as opportunities to take control of key industries. Step 2, systematically move America's pharmaceutical and biotech manufacturing offshore to Israel. Step 3, reroute all the supply chains for those industries through China. And the alleged final goal, step 4, is to make the United States strategically dependent on both of those nations.
And that brings us right to the end of our breakdown. Jonathan's entire investigation, starting from a single Signal group chat and expanding into this alleged global strategy, it all culminates in this one very provocative question. He leaves the reader to look at the full scope of his claims and ask, according to his findings, who does America's national security apparatus truly serve?